Hi people, it's me Anja. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new recommended reads video. Today's video is part 3 of my favorite fantasy standalones. So I will leave down in the description box below part 1 and part 2. I filmed part 1 last year, I'm pretty sure. I filmed part 2 earlier this year. So the videos are like somewhat recent and not so recent. So anyway, the first book on this list is called Evercurse, written by and Haydu. And this book follows a princess who is determined to save her sisters from a curse, even if it means allying with the witch who cast it. And also, before I really get into the review, this book has 2 trigger warnings, one for sexual assault and one for eating disorders. So please be careful if any of those things trigger you prior to reading this book. And I believe those 2 trigger warnings are said in the beginning of the book before you start chapter 1. So anyway, this story is so good. It's rather underrated, as are most of the books on this list, I'm pretty sure. And it's just so good. I love the world building. I love the intricate plot. I love the characters. The cover alone is also so pretty. I feel like I've said this before, but I'm a sucker for pretty covers, as are most people, I'm pretty sure. So if you are interested in a pretty cover, I would recommend this book, because not only does it have a pretty cover, but the story inside is also just as good as the outside. You know what I mean? I hate it when a book has a pretty cover, but then the story inside does not live up to the outside, but this story definitely does. So yeah, that's why I would recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Magnificent Monsters of Cedar Street, written by Lauren Oliver. I know I talked about this book maybe a month ago in my favorite middle grade fantasies list. So yes, this book is a middle grade book. It is so good. So basically it's about monsters and it follows Cordelia, and she's the only one brave enough to save them. I love this book so much. It's absolutely so good. I love the illustrations. I love the world building. I love the fast-paced, action-packed plot. Cordelia is such a wonderful character. She's going on this journey to save the monsters because her dad works with monsters, and when her dad goes missing, she goes on a journey to find him. I love that. I love journey stories because it gives me something to like be interested in, because like there's the literal journey and there's also like obviously the figurative journey as well. And Cordelia is such a wonderful, lovely, resilient character, and again, the cover is just spot on, gorgeous. We love to see it. The illustrations within the story are also wonderful. I actually don't know who the artist is, but the artist is just as talented as Lauren Oliver. Her writing is so good. I don't know if this is her middle grade debut, honestly, but it's the first middle grade book that I've ever read by her, and it's so good. If she ever writes more middle grade, I will gladly read it, because this story is so good. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Stormrise. This book follows a young combat warrior who must risk everything to awaken the dragons and save her kingdom. This story was absolutely incredible. I loved it. I loved the action-packed, fast-paced plot. I love the world building. I love Bain as a character. She's so wonderful. The romance in this book was also absolutely so good. This book is literally so underhyped, and I genuinely don't understand why, because I feel like it has everything that YA fantasy lovers want. Like, it has dragons, it has a nice romance, it has an action-packed, fast-paced plot, it has great world building, and it has dragons. Who doesn't love dragons? Nobody. This book is so good and absolutely lovely. It is so wonderful. I love this book so much, as you can clearly tell, and I hope that you too will also enjoy it, because it's literally so good. I can't stop talking about it, and I'm so excited for the author's next book. I think it comes out in like June or May or something. Anyway, I'm so excited for it, so I highly recommend Stormrise, her first book. The next book is called Spindlefish, and Scarlet. This is another middle grade fantasy. And also, fun fact, similarly to the Magnificent Monsters of Cedar Street, it follows Chloe, who goes on a journey to find her father when he doesn't show up one morning. This story is so good. I loved the action-packed, fast-paced plot. I loved Chloe's character arc. I loved the world building. I believe that the world building is inspired by Greek mythology, so we love to see it. I love this story so much. I read it this year, so I'll link down below recently's video where I talked about it in a little bit more detail, because it's literally so good. Again, the story is so underrated, and it deserves so much more hype because it's genuinely so good. I found myself being hooked by the story from the very beginning because it is literally so good. I love it when stories hook you from the beginning, because sometimes it takes a minute, or for me, like sometimes it takes like a third of the book for me to get like vastly interested in the story. But this story, I was initially hooked, and it kept me hooked and interested throughout the rest of the story, you know what I mean? And when I finished the story, I didn't want it to finish, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to read more, because this story is so good. Again, I think that this might be her debut novel, but it doesn't read as a debut novel because it's literally so good. And basically, filming this video makes me excited because I'm going to plan another video called My Favorite Debut Books. So anyway, keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for this book because it's literally so good. The next book on this list is called Splinters of Scarlet, written by Emily Bain Murphy. This book is a little bit different than the other books on this list because it's not like solely fantasy, it's historical fantasy. So basically it's set in 19th century Denmark, and it follows this girl in a world where secrets can kill and magic is a deadly gift. This story was so good. I absolutely loved it. I mentioned this book in my favorite historical fantasies video, which I am planning to make a part 2 to eventually, I think. But basically, this story is so good. I love the world building. I loved the nice balance of historical fiction and fantasy, because there was never a point in time where I felt like the author didn't emphasize that it was set in 19th century Denmark, or that it was a fantastical story as well. You know what I mean? Like, she balanced the two genres very well. And I think that this is her debut book as well. I feel like this entire video I keep talking about debut books, which it was totally a coincidence, by the way. But anyway, this story is so good. I love the plot. I love the character development. I love the world building. Everything about the story is so good. I absolutely really enjoyed it. So I hope that this review will help like promote this book, and I hope that you too will enjoy it as well. So yay. The penultimate book on this list is called Sky in the Deep, written by Adrienne Young. This story is so good, which also, like I've said about all of these books. But anyway, this story is just so good. It follows this young warrior who's been trained to be a warrior and to fight and survive. And conflict arises when she sees her brother, the same brother that she saw die 5 years ago, fighting with her enemy clan. So that's fun. You love to see it. This story is so good. Adrienne Young is such a wonderful, underrated fantasy author. I love this book so much because the world building, the romance, the character development, everything about this story is absolutely so good. I recently read Fable by Adrienne Young, which was her 2020 release, and I am so excited for Namesake, which is the sequel to Fable, and I think it comes out in early 2021. But basically, it's one of my most anticipated 2021 releases. But that's not the point. Sky in the Deep is so good, and again, it's one of those debut books that does not read as a debut book. You know what I mean? So basically, this story is so lovely, and it's a book that definitely deserves all of its hype. I was one of the readers that was like late to it, you know what I mean? Because for me, a lot more people were talking about this book last year than this year, because that's when it came out. So I would say that this book definitely deserved all of its hype, but like so much more as well, because like I said, Adrienne Young is literally so underrated. So her books deserve so much more hype. I am so excited for Namesake. So with that said, please read Sky in the Deep. Please read Fable. So yeah. I feel like the majority of this video is just me hyping up some underrated books, but the last book on this list is definitely not underrated, and it's probably a book that you've heard of so many times before. So anyway, it is Cemetery Boys, written by Aiden Thomas. This story is so good. It gets so much hype because it is so good, and it definitely deserves said hype. It is absolutely so wonderful. For those who don't know, this is a YA paranormal fantasy contemporary, so to speak, because it's set in modern day and in the modern world, but it has fantastical elements, you know what I mean? So basically, if you didn't know what this book is about, which honestly I would be genuinely really surprised if you didn't, because this is the book that Book Twitter can't shut up about, which like has good reason, like I said, because it deserves all of its hype. But basically, Cemetery Boys follows Yadriel, who's a trans gay boy, and his family does not accept his true gender. So he goes through this ceremony to prove it to them, and he accidentally awakens the ghost of the school's bad boy. So that's fun, especially since the ghost that he accidentally awakened doesn't really want to like be a ghost. So that's fun and good and fresh. This story is so good. Not only is the transgender representation absolutely wonderful, it is also own voices, so we love to see it. The gay representation as well, because it does also include a male-male romance as well. This story is so good. It's absolutely lovely. It's just so good, which I know that I've said 5,000 times in this entire video, because that's what I do with recommended reads videos. If you didn't know, welcome to my channel, which I also say a lot in my videos. So that's fun. Sorry for being repetitive. Basically, please read Cemetery Boys if you haven't already. Please add their next book to your TBR if you haven't already, because I am so excited for Aiden Thomas's next book. It's literally, I know I've said that so many times, but it's literally one of my most anticipated 2021 releases. I am so excited. So anyway, with that said, please read Cemetery Boys, because it deserves all of its hype and literally so much more. I literally said when I read Cemetery Boys that it saved 2020, and I stand by that statement. So please read it. So in conclusion, I highly recommend all of the books in this list, and like I said at the beginning of this video is a part 3 to my favorite fantasy standalones, so I will leave in the description below parts 1 and 2. And also I wanted to clarify that all of the books in this list are YA except for 2, Spindlefish and Stars and the Magnificent Monsters of Cedar Street are both middle grade. So anyway, if you like this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up, comment down below your favorite fantasy standalones, subscribe to my channel if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!